I'm really sorry that I'm not at Cameron Bespolka Trust and Emily's writing residential in the New Forest. I'd honestly have loved to have been there, but I'm at a biodiversity conference instead, and that's going to be exciting too. But in the meantime, I really wanted to sort of share some of my poetry with you and hopefully encourage you to work on your own poems, as that's what I was going to do with you guys this weekend. So last year, Cameron Bespolka Trust awarded me one of their grants, which is what Emily's been using to run this amazing residential. And with it, I made this poetry book, which is called Multicoloured Ghost Towns. It is my third, I think, poetry book. And it's all inspired by the natural world and also has been a kind of accumulation of 5 years, kind of transitioning from being a teenager to being a kind of young adult. And it's been really fun. I think it's comprised of 51 poems from memory. That might be wrong. But it's all sold out now, so sadly there are no more. But if you can view it online for free. And I thought it'd be really fun to read a couple poems to you now. And hopefully this weekend you're going to be sharing a lot of your own work. And I really hope that maybe you'll share some of that with me remotely, maybe Emily will let me know. But I definitely love to see what you make this weekend. But in the meantime, hopefully these might inspire you a little bit. So when I'm writing poems, I kind of often just let my mind wander a little bit. Emily Dickinson, who is a poet from a little bit way back when, based in the US, she did similar things where she'd go for walks and kind of just let her imagination run wild a little bit. And that's something I've always done as well. So I find being in nature really lets my mind kind of wander. It's kind of just quite inspirational listening to it in a bird song and letting my mind make pictures. And so quite a lot of these poems are kind of representative of that, to be honest, and kind of exploring how nature inspires me. So a really good example of that is this poem is called Wild Garlic, and this is very much inspired by wild garlic. It's literally what it says in the tin. Wild garlic. I made garlic fritters once. I was tired, but I needed to cook. And fresh garlic was growing in leafy sprigs throughout the neighbourhood. White flowers, the joyful spring cousins of windflowers. And as I fried garlic leaves with cheese and oil and flour, all I could think of was the overwhelming scent of wild garlic in the woods at home. When it came out a month or so before the bluebells, and was dutifully trampled by dog walkers, releasing the crisp earthy tones when mixed with damp soil, tickling streams, and smell of home from home. So for me that was one of the poems that really kind of connected to my childhood. I think poetry for me has always been something that's been quite personal, and hopefully that's something you find as well. For me, poetry is definitely an outlet of my emotions. So I write it when I'm feeling strong things. They can be good emotions, they can be bad emotions. But I think when I'm feeling big feelings, creating art, be that written, spoken, drawn obviously because of wildlife art, and that's a really big part of my expression and my processing. So this is a really good example of a poem that I wrote last year when I was processing some big emotions, but some big emotions that had happened in the past. Swimming in the rain. I was writing an email to a friend, and the suggested header, swimming in the rain. A mistake on a pop culture reference, surely, but it got me thinking. Whilst working in northern Norway, a rainstorm hit our wooden hut, shaking the logs and vibrating off the veranda like a new take on a xylophone. The wettest summer they'd seen in decades. And I was out the door like a bat out of hell, desperate for the release, the freedom. Laces barely tied, tumbling over myself, towel flapping in hand. Hair flapping over my face, a natural veil. The river, still, a slow flow, icy cold and crystal clear. It beckoned to me, the raindrops, a drum roll of anticipation. As I slipped out of the earth, sodden clothes, and into a silky shock, so fresh, so sharp, she stole my breath away. Raindrops blending with tears as I dipped under and up. Through the ripples over rocks, half swimming, half paddling. Under the grime and dirt of a week's work, went floating away, a kind of ending, or perhaps a new beginning. So, when I'm writing poems as well, I always like to kind of illustrate them. I have a very visual memory, and I imagine some of you might as well. And I think it's always fun to kind of just experiment and see kind of what pictures come to mind and what naturally couple with the words. I'm going to read one more poem. Right, so the last poem I think I will read is... I want to make it really clear, I haven't necessarily planned which ones I'm reading. I'm just kind of flicking through it and seeing which ones speak to me today, because I think often different poems will speak to me on different days, and I think that's quite fun. Okay, so this poem is kind of written in two parts. I don't think I've ever read this poem aloud before, or at least definitely not for a long time. Whenever you read poems aloud, that always kind of gives a different life to them. So it's nice when you're writing poems to read them out loud for a bit and just get that different voice in your head, because often the rhythm changes and it can inform your punctuation, and it is performance. Poetry is both a performance and a written piece of work, and that's kind of, they're two kind of halves of the same coin, and they're definitely part of the same thing. And I think it's quite easy to forget that poetry is meant to be spoken, it's meant to be performed, it's meant to be said out loud, it's a conversation. Anyway, so this poem is called 01/02. 01. I am unsure why you smell of butterscotch, of burnt pages, finger smudged and bent on the most read pages. I don't know why you are like smoke, stinging my eyes, creeping into my lungs like snake climbing vines. You slip through my fingers. A ghost of the autumn, more at home with squashes and maples, crisp paper cutouts of stars, stenciling your shape in bright white paint, cold pressed against a tablecloth. The touch of sheets, cotton, linen, threads woven, folded, tied. The silk moth's caterpillar's life complete. 02. And she turned her head to the stars, opened her heart to the heavens, and poured it through her pen, golden ink flowing. A starlit river. Moths playing in the glow, antennae quivering, while the nib of her pen dips and ebbs. A current of calligraphy, looped letters of love, ascend into the sky. A lark of the dark. Okay. Hopefully that was fun to listen to. And as promised, here are 2 sets of prompts. So the first set, if you could go into pairs or in tiny little groups, and you're going to get 3 prompts. And you're just going to either work to kind of come up with a little plan, or hopefully you write a little poem together. Collaborative poetry writing, I think, is quite tricky. So maybe this will help you bounce ideas with other people and work out how you can make a poem together. You can do this in any way you want. You could each write a stanza, which is a paragraph. You could each write a line. Genuinely let your creativity run through. So, your 3 very vague prompts are larger than life, purple, and as high as buildings. I feel like the first and third prompt feel similar, but hopefully you can take them in different directions. And part 2 is you are going to definitely write a poem by yourself. And ideally, I'm going to give you 3 prompts, and it would be really cool if you could link all 3 of these prompts together to make 3 poems. So almost like a mini-anthology. They don't need to be linked, obviously, but when you're making an anthology, it's nice to think of central themes, things that tie all your poems together. So I'm going to give you 3 quite vague prompts, and hopefully you'll make a little mini-anthology with 3 little poems. So, your prompts are the night sky, egg, and looking into a mirror, as like a little sentence. Anyway, I really look forward to seeing what you make, both as groups and as individuals, and like I said, I will do these as well and send them to Emily, hopefully, so you can have them while you're doing this as well. But I hope you have an amazing time at Cameron's Cottage. I've been there before with BTO and it was so much fun, and I'm genuinely gutted that I can't be with you all this weekend, but I hope you have an amazing time. You've got so many amazing workshop leaders and speakers coming, and it's going to be a fantastic weekend. So if you want to get in touch and ask me any questions, I'm on Instagram as Alicia Hayden Wildlife. You can reach me there, or you can contact me through my website, which is just aliciahayden.co.uk, or you can drop me an email, which is aliciahaydenphotography@gmail.com. But I'm happy to answer any questions, and I hope you have an amazing time, and look forward to seeing what you're writing, because it's going to be wicked. Bye!